So big ticket sales, also known as enterprise sales, large enterprises. We'll begin with understanding what is enterprise sales really and some of its characteristics, what makes for an enterprise sales. What are the mindsets or attributes of an effective enterprise sales professional, right? I've attempted to put together an enterprise sales process or a flow through leveraging my own learnings and understanding. May not necessarily be reflective of an ideal enterprise sales process, but it's for you to distill and apply wherever you deem appropriate. So what is enterprise sales? Quite simply, it refers to sales to large enterprises or organizations. Now, when I say large enterprises, you could look at it any which way you want. While there are no standard definition for it, but large enterprises typically are enterprises or organizations that house anywhere from 5,000 employees to over 1 lakh employees, right? 5,000 and above. So these are large enterprises that have revenues in excess of $1 billion, annual revenue, recurring revenue, and so on, right? So that's typically large enterprises. What are the characteristics of enterprise sales typically? Now, these are, as it suggests, these are enterprises that are characterized by very large deal sizes. Typical average deal sizes here range from anywhere from 90 lakhs INR to over 2 CR INR, 2 crore INR, right? Now, the first thing that I want to suggest is be comfortable with currencies, talking in terms of currencies. These enterprises typically do not talk, not all of them talk in terms of Indian currencies, INR, right? So a lot of them would talk in terms of euros or dollars. So be comfortable with all of these. Have your conversion rates or calculations as a ballpark in your mind whenever they talk about all of this. So $500,000 would effectively mean 4 CR INR. 1 million would mean 8 CR INR. So get some range in your mind already. I think that's the first thing I want to place on record. Be very comfortable to talk off it, immediately off your cuff. Second, these are typically long sales cycles. They span anywhere from 4 months to 6 months, some even 9 months. Unlike small ticket sales or sales aimed at micro and small medium enterprises. Here in enterprise sales, be comfortable knowing that this will take this long a time, 4 months to 6 months from the time you originate a call to a prospective customer till the time you actually ink the deal. It would span about minimum of 4 months, may go up to about 9 months. There are several people involved in the decision-making process across functions and levels, depending on what product or service you sell, that your organization sells, and depending on who your target function is. Typically in enterprise sales, it always, because the deal size is large, in excess of 1 CR INR, you will always be required to engage with the C-suite. When I say C-suite, I'm referring to the CEOs or the chief marketing officer or the chief human resource officer or across functions, chief marketing officer, chief legal officer, so on and so forth, right? It's not so if you have a product or services that is primarily aimed at, let's say, HR heads, human resource heads, right? Let's say if it's a recruitment solution or a learning solution, you can be rest assured that he or she is not the only one who's going to decide on it. Because this requires cutting out a large check, it will require him or her to consult with his CFO, chief financial officer, or even his CEO. Yeah, by design, several people are involved in the decision-making process. So you need to be comfortable with engaging with all these folks across levels, across functions. These are very dense contracts, not really to scare you. I'm sure your own organization's legal team will have your back. Your own organization's solution team will have your back. So even in your own organization, collaborate with all your folks across teams, right? Across functions, your legal, your marketing, your contracts team, your transition team, customer success team, all of them, including your CEO, if need be, right? Or your sales head. Bring all of the, enlist all their services, their support, and work with them. So you will, in this case, only be probably a facilitator, front-ending all of this. But if there is a large contract which requires a legal vetting, you will always need to involve your legal team to talk to the counterpart at your prospective customer's legal, right? So that's where you can facilitate that interaction and all of those. So hence these are dense contracts. So you don't need to know all of this, but you really need to orchestrate and know who to involve where. High stakes, because these are large value deals, oftentimes it impacts the entire course of the company's business cycle. If a company doesn't buy a product or service that you offer, which offers immense value, which offers competitive advantage to your prospective organization, which renders them a little ahead in the curve from a competitive landscape, they miss out on an opportunity, right? So it is definitely high stakes. At the same time, if they don't buy your product and if they buy your competing product, you run the risk of losing out on market share again. So hence, it is high stakes for both you as an organization as well as your prospective organization. It is, as salespeople, it is certainly highly rewarding. I'd love to believe that all organizations that you serve that run enterprise sales functions have a very lucrative suite incentive structure. So the more deals you close, the more money you collect upfront. And by virtue of this being a large deal size contract anyway, you stand to pocket a very large sum of money individually, okay, from an incentive standpoint. So money apart, the fact that you've engaged with senior folks at your prospective organizations, help them understand what your product or services attempts to do, how they stand to gain, what's the competitive advantage that your product or services will deliver to them as they engage with their customers, which is your customer's customer. I think that's more equally meaningful than just simply pocketing a fat check as incentive for you. I just wanted to draw your attention to some of the mindsets or attributes that an enterprise sales professional should don or have. From a professional standpoint, there is a certain mindset that you'll need to look at as you engage in an enterprise sales realm. The first is very clearly a very strong belief, right? You'll need to believe, and when I say, however cliched this might sound, but belief and conviction in saying, okay, this is an account that I can attempt to really size it up to, let's say, a 2 crore INR opportunity. Okay. Let me, and this is out of my own experiences, right? I've always found that whenever I had a certain belief in my mind about what I make of the opportunity that I see in this prospective organization, I've found that I've always only met that belief. I've never outnumbered that belief. So if I believe that there's an opportunity for about only 50 lakhs of a check size that I can garner out of this prospect, I at best will do 50. But often I'll do only about 40 lakhs. I will never outgrow or outnumber 50. I will never do 51 lakhs. So if you have to do 1 crore, you have to believe that, okay, this opportunity in this prospective account is indeed sized up to about 1 crore. My invitation to all of you is to really expand your belief systems to say, hey, this opportunity of 1 crore is real. This is what I believe in. I will make happen. I see it. I really visibly see this opportunity. And then go back and build a story or a narrative that can substantiate your belief to say, hey, can I provide enough reasons to this prospective customer to really write out that check for about that smells of 1 crore INR? Yeah. So starts with a very strong belief in yourself, in your mind, of how you size that account up. I couldn't emphasize more on this virtue of authenticity. This is true for any sales, but especially more so for enterprise sales, right? Authenticity simply means be real, okay? Be real, be truthful, be legitimate, which would even mean if you think that your product or services fall short on a certain proposition that attempts to address a certain pain point, talk about it upfront, okay? So I'm suggesting be a consultant, right? So tell the customer, hey, for this aspect of your pain area, our product probably falls short. You might want to consider these products. Or you might want to say, hey, you know what? Currently, we don't seem to be we might not be able to add significant value in this area, but we are working towards it. Our product team is mindful. We've heard this from several customers. It's part of our product or our service roadmap. We are working on it and we'll come back. But in the meantime, quickly shift the focus back to saying on what you can deliver already. Okay, what your value propositions are. If you have any unique selling propositions, talk about it, on how it addresses their pain point. And in some cases, it doesn't always have to be a pain point, but it can simply be saying, hey, you know what, you are already at this level of your business outcomes. Using our product or services, you might just be at 10x, because this is what we've seen happen at some of our existing customers already. So talk about case studies, be very real about what you talk. Okay, gone are days of your quintessential snake oil salespeople. Do not unduly exaggerate. Certainly do not bluff. Be very authentic. I think that's what I wish to suggest on this aspect. I just touched upon this already. Attempt to be your prospects' trusted advisor. Be a consultant to them. Now, I'm not necessarily suggesting you have to be a consultant like the big fives, the McKinseys or the BCGs of the world. Not quite, not even close, right? You don't need to be there. All I'm suggesting is when you're authentic, okay, when when there is conviction in you saying, hey, I know this opportunity is sizes up to about 1 CR. I know my products or services can deliver to drive these business outcomes at these prospective organizations the way I've understood. Okay, you can always work with all their levels, all the contact levels across functions, and talk about what you've done at your existing customers. Okay, chances are your organization might have already had a few customers through their past deployment, through their past sales teams, unless of course you're a founding member or the first recruit in sales. Even if you're a first recruit in sales, be an evangelist. Okay, so in order for you to be a consultant or a trusted advisor, you yourself would need to up your game in terms of knowing your product or your service thoroughly, right? Knowing the shortcomings, knowing your product's value propositions, knowing the industry, knowing the market landscape, knowing your competitive landscape. Just know it as if you run the business, as if you're the founder. Okay, know it just as thoroughly as your founder would. Okay, so this is what I would suggest. Also attempt to know as much as you can about your prospective organization. What business are they into? How long they've been in the business? What's their history? How have they grown? What are some of their buying behaviors? What are the clients they serve? Okay, how do they serve their customers? What are their pain points? So as much that you can gather about them through secondary research across the worldwide, anything and everything that you can lay your hands on. Look at some press releases, all of those, right? Primary research is try and see if you can thread a connect to any junior level in functions that are of immediate relevance to your product or services. Okay, if your product or services is aimed at the procurement teams in your prospective organization, or the legal team, or supply chain, or marketing, or HR, try and talk to somebody at a junior level and get as much first-hand information about the organization if you can. Okay, don't assume anything. Okay, just have the confidence to pick up the phone and talk. Do not for one bit think, hey, what would they go back thinking, saying, hey, why is this guy snooping? Why is this person calling and trying to understand all of those? Don't assume right out. Place that call. Try and get as much first-hand information as you can. That will only put you in good stead. But I can assure you, a lot of the information is available on the World Wide Web through secondary research anyway. Or you might have friends who might either be working in these organizations, or might know people who might work in this organization, or who generally might know something about this company, right? Try and reach out to your network and so on. All I'm suggesting is get as much information about your prospective organization as you can. Get comfortable with discussing high value propositions. Again, do not fall off the chair when you size this opportunity to be of about 1 crore, 2 crore, 5 crore even. Okay, one deal size. Be comfortable. Like I said, you need it as much as they need. Your prospective organizations need your services, right? So they are not doing you a favor by even listening to you. Leave alone cutting out a check, but listening to you. But the fact is that conviction in you saying, hey, you know what? I know I can impact my prospective organization's business outcomes through the products or services that I have, because we've done this with existing customers. Or if you don't have any existing customers, but just the conviction that this is a product and services that can add value, talk about it, and hence it commands a certain premium. It commands a certain worth, a price, right? And be comfortable to talk about it. So 1 crore or 5 crore doesn't matter. Talk with conviction. Very strong belief, confidence, and conviction in your organization's product and service offerings. I think this is where it all starts. Belief in yourself, belief in your company's product and service offerings. To that extent, I would even emphasize, before you even consider taking up an opportunity in enterprise sales, try and come to terms with the fact of how good is your company's product or services. What's been the market receptiveness to your company's product and services? What are your existing customers saying? For those who are churning out, or who aren't renewing, or who aren't buying your products, Why aren't they buying? Okay, for those who bought, why have they bought? What are they? So build your own confidence in your company's products. Okay, no product largely is really perfect in the first instance itself. Allow that to sink into your mindset as well, to say, hey, you know what, this might not be the perfect product. If that were, you would have had all the Fortune 500 companies queuing up to buy your product, or all the large enterprises on this planet buying your product. Let's be realistic, doesn't happen. So be comfortable knowing that, be reassured knowing that your product or services may not be all that perfect right out. If you talk to 10 prospects, not all of them would buy or would have the appetite, but it is for you to gather that conviction and get them to really begin to get interested in exploring more about your product and so on. Okay, that's the first. Because these are characterized by long sales cycles, as if you recall, I mentioned, it might span anywhere from 4 months to even 9 months. On an average, it takes about 6 months. If you're talking about a 1 crore or 1.5 crore INR deal size, certainly have patience, yet be persistent. Okay, then when I say exercise patience, yet be persistent, I'm not suggesting that you be very impulsive, call a customer prospect level today. If you've not heard, call in the afternoon, evening, allow them that time. Right? Probably for all, they are actually digesting what they've heard about you, either through your presentation or through whatever material you might have sent to them. Okay, they might be considering favorably. Just have that belief that they might be considering favorably, right? Have the confidence in the fact that you might have done a damn good job of engaging with them in that exploratory conversation, right? And if they've given you an opportunity to talk to you the next time, it is signal enough for you to sense that they are evaluating. Right? So have patience, but at the same time, while you might not actively reach out to them, but keep them engaged through whatever relevant or contextual material that you can lay your hands on, that you can send out to them. And this is where, as I mentioned, collaborate very actively with your in-house functional teams, your marketing teams, your customer success teams. Send them some success stories, send them some case studies, send them some marketing collaterals, send them some bites of what your CEO has spoken about, and so on and so forth. Anything and everything that can keep them engaged, that can have your product or services top of mind in their, as they recall similar service offerings or solutions that they are scouting for. Be extremely resilient, be comfortable with rejections. Again, this is, as cliched it might sound, this is as true for large enterprises as it is for any sales, irrespective of deal sizes, but just be at it. Okay, they aren't really rejecting your product outright or rejecting you. They might probably be reflecting on this particular solution offering, or this particular feature doesn't quite address this pain point of mine. So it might just be one aspect of your overall holistic solution offering that they are responding to, saying, hey, this doesn't make sense. So don't, like I said, be comfortable with rejections. That's not the end all. I think, again, be reassured with that, and maybe rejig or steer your conversation away from that to focusing on strengths that you can leverage and aspects where you can actually drive value propositions to your organization's business outcome, your prospective organization's business outcomes. Big picture thinking. What I mean by this is, there are a lot of content out there that you can leverage and make sense. So in your mind, when you're talking to a certain prospective organization, depending on what industry they operate in, get a sense of what are the key drivers for that industry to thrive, for all the companies in that industry to thrive. Okay, what are the key drivers? What are the threats that these companies in these industries face? What are impediments that the companies in these industries face to their growth, impediments to their growth? So there are, again, to my point of being a consultant or a trusted advisor, get to know as much as you can about the industry, as much as you can about the top 2 or 3 players in that industry. For all you know, your prospective organization may be one of them. If they aren't one of those top 2 or 3, if they are the top 5, great. Benchmark it against the top 1 or 2 and try and talk or bring some reflective aspects of what are they doing differently, and so on and so forth, and weave that to what your product and or services can deliver to your prospective organizations that can help them also be in that league of top 1 or 2 players in that industry that your prospective organizations operate in as well. So big picture thinking is going beyond just that person that you're talking to, that function that your person of contact level in that operates in, the C-suite in the company, to the top players in the industry, to generally the industry, and broadly the economy of the country that they operate in, or at the global scale. So this is what I meant by big picture thinking. So oftentimes when you read about it, a lot of things will bubble up in your own mind. Use that to contextualize it as you engage in any conversation with any contact level in your prospective organization. Certainly excellent communication skills. However, I want to just draw your attention to the fact that I'm not necessarily suggesting sophisticated English speaking ability. Okay, while that is important, because enterprise sales, these are largely companies that operate in multiple geographies, and English seems to be a common language that all of them understand. But it could well be a company based out of, it could be Indian MNCs, it could be unicorns, or it could be MNCs operating out of India. They'll always have a local leadership team. You can always engage. I think the power of articulation, the power of persuasion, okay, can well happen in any language, any vernacular language, if you will, depending on which state in our country that you're engaging with. Okay, chances are the headquarters or regional headquarters of these large organizations might be in, let's say, Delhi NCR, somewhere in South, somewhere in West, somewhere in East. Just be comfortable. It's all about how do you build relationship, right, and so on. And I think in the words of Nelson Mandela, he's remarked to have said, he said, hey, if you speak to somebody in a language that he understands, it gets into his mind. Okay, but if you speak to somebody in his own language, it gets into his heart. So I think my remark to this is really talk contextual, some stuff of relevance, may not necessarily be in English, but something that makes sense to what you're selling in the realm of the business that you're selling to, the industry that the business operates in, and align to your product and services, which again is woven into the pain points that your product or services addresses for the customer. Now, so this is all verbal. Ensure that this is aptly supplemented by your written communication. Oftentimes I've seen, and in my own experiences, while we make a phenomenal verbal pitch, okay, through a presentation or through engaging in face-to-face conversations, in-person conversations, but oftentimes after that, after we walk out of the room, in person or virtual, whenever we need to wrap it up with a written communication, either on an email or through a proposal or through some read or documenting minutes of the meeting, that's where we flounder. Right? Give it as much, be extremely diligent, meticulous in how you write as well. It should, every word that you say, every word that you write, in your mind, consider it as being equivalent to, let's say, $100. Be very careful with the choice of words. Ensure it is relevant, contextual. I'm not necessarily, again, suggesting flamboyant Shashi Tharoor English. I'm only suggesting make it relevant, avoid noise, fewer words, but impactful words, both verbal as well as written. Okay, your proposal also should breathe down the same phenomenal pitch as you would have made in your verbal presentations. In large enterprises, okay, in large enterprise sales, typically, now your organization may not necessarily be a large enterprise. This could well be a small organization selling to large enterprises, or this could even be a large enterprise selling to large enterprises, or this could just simply be a startup, 3-member startup selling to large, having a product or service selling to large enterprises. Doesn't matter. Okay, but these are typical sales processes that might render your pitch a little more effective. It always starts with identifying who your target prospects are. So I think you will hear this often. Chances are, if you're not the first sales employee, your company's go-to-market strategy might have already been nailed down by your founders or by your leadership teams, functional leadership, your sales leader, marketing leader, or whoever. But if you're the first one, I would emphasize the need to really sharply define who your target prospects are, right? By industry, by company. How do they look? Who are they? Even personify them. What are their characteristics? Like I said, if these are large enterprises, they'll largely be companies that house 5,000 plus employees. Okay, but then in line with your product or services, depending on who your product or services addresses, what function it impacts, what proposition it drives, you might want to put together a certain profiling of your target prospect base. So by industry, by company size, by employee composition, by annual revenue, by budget spend, by and what have you, anything and everything. So start with mapping the market to figure out, put together a list of what makes for an ideal target prospect. Okay. Once you've done that, and if you see, that's the first point, identifying target prospect base, list creation and categorization. Now, what I meant by categorization is, if let's say your list today has about, let's say 50 prospects that you've put together and say, hey, these 50 constitutes my target prospect list or base, right? Within those 50, you might want to categorize them to say, hey, these 20 are the ones that I will focus on, because I reckon that these 20 are the ones where the average ticket size could smell of, let's say 3 crores INR, as opposed to the other 30 where the average ticket size might be 1 crore. You might want to focus on the larger ticket items amongst the relatively larger ticket sizes within your prospect base. Call it whatever you want, category A accounts, category B accounts, or priority 1 accounts, or priority 2, right? Try and categorize your initial prospect base by, in whatever way you want, depending on, it could even be the speed with which you think you can close those, or it could be the revenue potential opportunity that you sense in each one of them, right? So categorize, that's the first. Once you've done that, the second is mapping. Okay, very clearly map who is who in that company. If you recall, I mentioned in my first slide, the characteristics of an enterprise sales, one of them is, this involves multiple decision makers, right? So you'll have to figure out who the decision makers are, who the facilitators are, who the influencers are. Okay, now all these three people are very different people, okay, and different things resonate with them, right? And so you'll have to make your proposition compelling enough for each one of them. So for example, I'll just take an example. Okay, if you're selling recruitment solutions, certainly one of your facilitators certainly is your HR head. Okay, your influencer could probably be your talent acquisition head. Okay, or your influencer or facilitator could also be your CFO. Your decision maker could certainly be your CFO, CHRO, or even CEO, right? So you'll have these three people always. So try and identify who is where. Okay, who is that facilitator, who is the decision maker, who is the influencer, and map that out. Enterprise, in my experiences, I've always found enterprise sales works best when it's top down. What I meant by top down is always engage at the topmost level that you can always. Now, I'm not necessarily suggesting that you reach out to the chairman of the organization or the board of members of the organization, right? Of course, you should make an attempt to try and reach the CXOs. When I say CXO, either the CEO or the functional leader of the product or services that you're selling, that resonates with. Yeah, so always go top down rather than bottom up. So again, if just sticking to this example, that's a little familiar, whether if you're talking about an enterprise HR tech SaaS product or a product that is aimed at, let's say, supply chain, it's best to talk to the supply chain head, procurement head, or the chief business officer or the chief operations officer, rather than talking to a supply chain manager. Okay, because oftentimes you'll end up spending a lot of energy. They may not be able to appreciate the value proposition that smells of 1 crore INR and so on. For all, they might never have had to really examine proposals that smells of that kind of value. Okay, they may not have the big picture thinking. So for people to appreciate what you bring on table, you will need to engage with people at that level. So functional heads, CHRO, or in this case of a logistic product or services that you're selling, the chief operating officer will always help. So top down. So when I say top mapping, map out the organization to say who is the CEO, who is the functional head at the top level. It's always the head. Then there are various levels in organizations. You'll have vice presidents after the C-suite. You'll have senior vice presidents, you'll have vice presidents, you'll have directors, you'll have associate directors, and then you might have probably managers and so on. Very important to understand each of these rungs, and treat them as absolutely distinct. Don't think of them as just a passing, sweeping thing, that level. These are people who grow into the next level. Okay, and when a director grows to be a VP, his or her mindset is very different. It's not the same person anymore. Remember that always. His or her scope of authority has changed. His or her span of control has changed. From handling about 5 people in just one location, he or she is now handling about 20 people in 15 locations. From handling a budget of about, let's say, 50 lakhs a year, Now he or she in this new role, vertically aligned role, he or she is now handling a budget of, let's say, 5 CR. Okay, so just recognize and appreciate that and engage with them appropriately. The third is schedule with prioritization. Once you've categorized, saying, okay, out of this 50 in my prospect list, these 20 are my first port of call, priority 1 or category A accounts. These are the ones that I'll pick up the phone, or these are the ones that I'll nurture or engage with. Okay, when I say nurture or engage, I'll probably work with my marketing teams, my content marketing teams, my customer success teams to bring out collaterals or content that I can shoot out to each one of them, even before I place my first call, even before I interact with them in person or over the phone. I will send out something of relevance to him or her. Again, contextualize, relevant to his or her company, industry, and so on. And better still, if you already know some pain points, even better. And within that, subtly weave in some of your product salient features, some advantages that your product might have, unique selling propositions, and some of the benefit that it drives. And then the one that you see in blue, the actual sales meeting. If you see here, I've gone on to describe, I want to particularly draw your attention to this term, the acronym called FABing, F-A-B. It stands for feature, advantage, benefit, FAB, extremely important. So whether it's a product or a services or a service that you're selling, try and drill down at a granular level. What are the features of your product or your service? What are the advantages of each feature of your product or your service? And what's the benefit that accrues out of your feature, out of the feature of your product or a benefit, right? So map out, do a kind of a grid, and take help. Take help of whoever, your founder, your product teams, your marketing teams, customer success, to build this out. This is your quintessential sales kit. Okay, always make the effort to understand your product at a granular level, product or service, right? Including your shortcomings, because that then renders you more authentic. You can actually talk upfront about them to your customers, if at all, prospective customers, if at all you're faced with such a thing, right? So fabbing feature, advantage, and benefit at a granular level. And then if it's a product, don't shy away from demoing it to them. Prepare for the demo, contextualize the demo to your prospective customers, organization, or the industry, and so on. It's not one size fits all in this. It's about how can you contextualize it as if it was a product that they are going to be using anyway, right away, right? If it's a service, talk about some moments of truth, give them some evidence of where it has worked, get them to talk, set up a reference call, even if it's not asked by your customers, but always helps for you to drop some referenceable names that your prospective organizations can have conversations with. It just reassures them, right? Second is evaluation. So what you see on the left these are the stages that a typical enterprise sales seem to. Okay, be comfortable with all of them. Do not short circuit any of them. Okay, and in some cases it might take just about 3 months going through all of them. Some might take 6 months, but it'll help for you to go through these or really steer the conversation across these. Oftentimes it's you who should take control of the narrative, really, right? Not your client take control and guide you to wherever, right? That's another bit that I want to drop here. Evaluation is about, this is the time when your customers will ask you a lot of questions, a lot of uncomfortable questions, saying, hey, you know what, I've heard your competing product has a couple of features much better than you do. Their pricing is at a sweet spot for us, and so on. So be comfortable with all of those. This is where you'll need to exercise resilience and go back with enough proof points, case studies to augment. Not always will your product be cheaper. Okay, your prospective the contact levels in your prospective organization will always find reasons for them to really beat you down to try and snatch a better deal. Okay, they might come back saying, hey, your competition is offering a price point 3 times lesser than what you have just quoted. Okay, or they have 5 features significantly better than yours and that address our pain points. That's fine. You continue to persist, talk about your features, talk about case studies, pain points that your product has already addressed, and so on. So this is where references would help, right? So hold your ground, maintain all of those, give them that time, give them a free access to your product, or allow them time to test your product or service if it comes to that. Be comfortable with doing all of those. The proposal, as I mentioned, ensure that your proposal also maintains the same compelling value proposition as what you would have delivered over your verbal pitch or presentations in the past. Your written proposal also should be as good as you talking to a group of people. Remember that the written proposal that's floated you have no control on who all are seeing it. And most certainly, and certainly you do not have a control on really impacting what they think or what they make. Okay, but simply because you're not seeing who's watching it. You have no opportunity to sense it, take any cues of how are they seeing it. Are their eyebrows being raised? Are they excited? Are they smiling? Are they weeping? So ensure that your proposal also speaks the same tone. It also reflects similar context, similar compelling propositions. I think spend time constructing your proposal as well. So work with your leadership, your internal leadership, make it meatier, make every word count. Remember, I said, consider each word as carrying about $100. Build a rational entire proposal construct and then send it out to them. Talk about each feature in the proposal as if it was a product in itself. Okay, each feature, when I spoke about fabbing, I'm essentially suggesting when you do feature advantage benefit, if it's a 1 crore or 1.5 crore INR deal, and if your product has 5 features, assume that every feature that you speak about or that you showcase is worth 25 lakhs. Okay, that's exactly what should come out in what you pitch, how you pitch, and even in the written proposal. And then it's about negotiations, drive mutually favorable agreement. At this point, get a sense of who all will be party to the entire decision-making process at your prospective organizations. Get some sense of who will be, at what level will they step in, which function, and so on, and just anticipate what kind of queries they might have and be ready with some of those scenarios and so on, and address. Again, do not hesitate from taking a team along with you internally. Don't get really overwhelmed with who all are there on the other side of the table. Always enlist company of people from your function. It will aid your own pitch, because like I said, you might not have answers for all the functions. You may not be able to talk about your product as effectively as your product manager could, perhaps, although you should just be as good, because you should know your product anyway. You should enlist the support of your legal, enlist the support of your solutions team, your pre-sales team, your customer success team, and so on and so forth, right? So go with the full might. That's a team. It's team, but something that you facilitate, you will front end. So you will have to orchestrate all of this. Don't get too swayed away with bravado. It's not about individual bravado. You know what? I'll do it. I will stick it out on my own. I'll do it on my own. Doesn't work that way. Okay. Ensure that your company wins. It's best when you have people represented, your product or your proposal represented aptly from the right set of people, even within your company, who can talk about their aspect of your proposal as effectively as your proposal is. Legal, I've already spoken about it. Set it up. And so if it's a large organization, if it's a large value ticket sale, always you will have these people coming. You'll have a procurement also coming in, because it goes beyond just your functional buyer. Like I said, it will be the CFO who will get involved. It will be your legal teams, because they have to vet the contract legal terms, because the stakes are high. It's often 2-year contract, 3-year contracts. Okay, they want to lock you down. They want to ensure that paid sufficiently and so on. So all that, be comfortable with all of those. Recognize that it will traverse all these steps, and be ready from your side with the right teams and the right scenarios that you can anticipate. Finally, closure. Hold on to your butterflies. Your deal is not done until they've inked the agreement. So be prepared for several rounds of vetting, going through your contracts by your legal, by your functional team, and so on and so forth. Be comfortable doing all of those, and then I think drive towards finally inking the deal. Once the deal is done, be involved in the entire transition process as well. Once it's ready for deployment or implementation, whether it's product or services, be part of that hand-holding process between your service delivery teams and your prospective organizations, program management team, or ones that are going to actually use it. They should see you making that transition happen slowly but surely before you finally wean yourself off and move to your next chase in your prospect. But be there for them as their trusted advisor, always somebody who is their voice in your organization and who will orchestrate this whole service delivery as well. So when I say top down, the way to reach them is attempt to use any tools at your disposal. So there are a lot of tools. For instance, there is Lucia, there is Easy Leads. There are a lot of tools that can give you access to the LinkedIn profiles of all these people And more often than not, you'll also have the email contact details. Now, the contact details could be a composite mix of email plus phone numbers, mobile numbers, or email IDs, right? Always good to send them some. First is establish contact. If they have a LinkedIn profile, chances are they would try and establish contact with them through a LinkedIn connect. Okay. Again, I would want to emphasize, don't just send them a random cold LinkedIn connect. Customize your connect. Okay, which means if you can invest, buy those in-mails credits, right, and send them an invitation, a customized invitation on why you want to connect, okay, who you are, okay, and why you want to connect. So send them that context, right? And then once you get, if you're lucky enough to get a connect, that is when you got to start seeding them with a lot of content that is relevant to their business, their company, and their industry. Okay, warm them up, nurture them up. If you then try and use some analytical tools which can give you a sense of, okay, have they clicked on what you're posting? Have they opened your email if you've sent them an email? Have they engaged with anything that you're posting, any content or so on? Have they even established content? And that's when you might want to attempt to pick up the phone and have a conversation with them. Contextualizing that conversation or opening your conversation by drawing their attention to the last activity that they did. Okay. Again, when you're sending an email, I would emphasize, be very careful on what's the subject line that you write, because oftentimes the subject line of your mail determines open rates. And when you're talking about the mall owners, the owners or directors or CXOs, they don't have time, okay, to be spammed. Okay, try and look at as many subject lines that are relevant to that customer organization. So research your prospective organization, who they are, what they do. Even research the person in your prospective organization. Where does he or she come from? Okay, what's been his or her past experience? What is he doing in this current organization? Any accolades, okay, any kind of recognition he or she has had, and be very authentic about it. Be very genuine. Don't do it for the sake of doing it. This is where you'll have to be an evangelist, right? Okay, you'll have to, because it's all concept. You'll have to help them conjure up, visualize, because they've not seen evidence of this anywhere else. They've not seen similar product or services, correct? This is where you'll have to use the help of your marketing teams, your product teams, etc., to build a certain collateral. So there is a concept called AIDA, AIDA, attention, interest, desire, action, right? So get your marketing as part of your GTM strategies. Don't just go ahead and pick up the phone and start talking to people because they'll not be able to conjure up. So that's why I said build your entire content repertoire, the entire sales marketing collateral, content repertoire. Okay, so talk about case studies, create white papers. Okay, work with your marketing teams to bring out these case studies, white papers, and so on and so forth. Try and get some empirical evidence. Do your own internal dipstick. Okay, try and at least get 1 or 2 pilot customers, if you will. Okay, get some data points. Use that to build your entire sales pitch, sales construct. Okay, and then go about doing some of these. Okay, talking again, when you're doing it, nurture, seed a few data points, create capsules of these collaterals, right? Written or whatever, send it out to them, gauge their interest. And when you think they're warming up to it, they're opening, they're seeing something, make that first call. Okay, this could span maybe 1 week, 2 weeks, be patient. But this is where I want to emphasize, be patient, okay, yet persistent, right? When do you decide, when should I make that first call? So look at how they are engaging with whatever you're creating, content that you're creating, and then make that first or second call. I would reckon a sale is not complete unless the collection is in. We all know this. Everybody on this call understands, right? Unless the collections or the revenue is realized. Now, last ticket items, we typically found not all organizations are very comfortable on cutting out the whole check. So they're comfortable if you can facilitate easy cash flows for them, right? Or make it very favorable and comfortable payment terms. At the same time, for our company, it's important to collect as much cash. So you should construct your payment term in the proposal itself in a manner, or in the much earlier, before they arrive at a decision itself. Give them a sense of what the payment term would look like. It's always good to front load as much as you can. What I meant by front load is, if you're not able to demand the entire payment being made upfront, total 100% payment upfront, look at least collecting 75% of that either upfront or at least in the first 3 months. or as early as you can. And the remaining tail end, 25%, maybe during the contract or after your services are delivered, after your products are placed, or after your products are merchandised at their counters or so on. So I would recommend payment term is a very critical element, just as any other thing in your entire sales pitch or in the customer's entire buying process. Think about that surely. And in the interest of your organization, because just as much as your prospective customer thinks about cash flows, it's important for your company also to think about cash flows. So for you, what's important is to get as much as you can upfront. Okay, amount upfront, but do this well before they arrive at a decision, because this is part of their decision making consideration, right? In the initial stages itself, pitch, when you're submitting a proposal, socialize this entire payment term also with your influencers, facilitators, and decision makers, right? Give them a sense of how it will look like. What's the proposal? What's the amount? Close all the loops right up front before you even table a proposal, so on. And after you table a proposal, keep reinforcing that and build the case of rationale of why you've extended or offered this comfortable payment term. While standard in normal circumstances, it is all payable upfront, but we want to really invite you to consider us favorably, give you a sense you're a first-time customer, you're a first customer in this industry, or whatever. We think you're strategically very important. We are happy to serve you. We wish to make an exception in saying you could pay us 50% at the time of signing this contract, another 25% at the time of when we actually place the product or deliver the service, and the remaining 25% maybe after 3 months down the line or 6 months. In India today, and not just in India, any customer, even if it's a corporate organization, right? Everyone would want to look at how better can it get. So first is, in your mind, don't be intimidated. Don't be restless about it. Be happy that they are asking for something, which means they are considering. Okay, have that belief. So I think the first thing that I would do, okay, is really ask this prospect or this contact level on saying, why do they think this is expensive? Why are they even negotiating? Is what I would want to do. I'm not suggesting that I'm going to be arrogant, but I'm just trying to ask, saying, hey, why would you think this is expensive? You don't have a discount, but this is the value we are bringing to you. Why do you think this is expensive? Is what I would start there. On saying, hey, you know what? Look at it from an ROI standpoint. If it's a corporate travel, let's say you invest, you block a certain amount. But if you block, let's say 50 lakh with us for a year, and if we can effect savings of, let's say 3 crores to you, that's a great ROI, right? Why wouldn't you invest 50 lakh? Why do you think it's expensive? So I would refute. Like I said, in all humility, I will recognize saying, okay, I appreciate it. They're offering that. Okay. But sir, I want to draw your attention to what are our service standards? What are our service levels? What is our advantage that we offer? Feature, advantage, benefit. I'll do a fabric, feature, advantage, benefit. And then I'll build on that. And then I steer them away from saying, hey, I'm going to ask for discount because that's my birthright. I'll ask for negotiation just for the sake of it. I'll build a rationale. Then I might say, at least I'll move him or her from saying, okay, they're adding value. Okay. But I still think, you know what? We are a little tight on budget. All right. Now we're talking. Now get a sense of, okay, what does your budget look like? Okay. Is this what your budget looks like? All right. I have a certain offering that can fit within your budget. I might not be able to offer you this, what I've originally offered you, because that indeed commands this price. But if that's your budget, I'll offer something which still addresses your need, still addresses your pain point, which can still drive outcomes, drive impact, but which suits your budget. It may not have all of these. Have conviction in your product and your service offering and all of this. The second thing I would do, in my mind, I would think, hey, who is asking me for this discount? Who is negotiating with me? Is he or she the decision maker? Is he or she the influencer? Is he or she the facilitator? Or is he none of them? If he's none of them, I will not waste my time explaining to him. I'll say not possible. Here on, who is asking for your negotiation? If it's or who is engaging in that negotiation discussion? It's best to engage with somebody who's one of them. On the premise on why they brought out a certain feature. Why I would imagine if as part of the product roadmap or product teams, okay, they bring out a feature owing to certain things that they are seeing. Either they are seeing competitive landscape, or they are hearing from prospective organizations or existing customers of a certain need, which the current product doesn't have, right? So they bring out a new feature. So understand why they are bringing out the feature. So in their mind, your product team's mind, or it could be even sales guys bringing out market information inside the company. Hey, this is what the sales guys are hearing about what's in the market and so on, or what is the customer looking at, what are the prospective organizations looking at, and so on. So when they bring out a feature, they have a certain thing in mind, vision for that feature. Why are they doing that feature? What's the benefit it will drive? It is just for you all to be able to sit together and articulate it, right? Construct an outline, describe the feature. Okay, put all that pen to paper, and craft out what is that feature in the first case. Describe the feature, and then why is this feature important? So about what's the advantage it will bring. Okay, and then with that advantage, when I say advantage, I'm talking about competitive advantage. Okay, and with that advantage, what is the value or benefit it will drive for the customer? When I say people, I'm talking about at least large organizations, the buyer side, prospective, the contact levels at prospective buyer organized. They don't buy features, they will buy, although they listen features, but what they want to listen is how it will add value to them, right? Which is nothing but the benefits. Then they will also want to examine, saying, okay, how is your product very different from 5 other products that they would have heard of? Which is the advantage? I would invite you to look up Google. You'll find a lot of templates on feature fabbing. How do you do fabbing? While it's a template, but you will need to really, for your product and your features, you will really need to understand deeply, working with your product, on why they even thought of that feature. Okay, it should not be feature for the sake of a feature, but what's the value it will drive to your prospective organization or existing customers, right? And then you can just document it. Feature, what's the feature, whatever, however, phrase it the way you want. It doesn't have to be flowery, right? But you will be able to iterate and bring out what is that key, the feature, and the key advantage of the feature delivers, and the benefit it drives to the customer. And benefits are usually often measurable. No, it doesn't necessarily have to be ROI. It can be in any form. I'll give you an example. Today, there's a company that I worked in. Okay, so the company created, and this was way back, almost a decade and a half ago. We were building an employee community portal. Okay, think of it as being LinkedIn plus Facebook plus Yammer plus SharePoint, all put together within an enterprise context. A social network for companies, for organizations. Okay, now the proposition there was, how do you create a sense of belonging and create a sense of identity? So there was no ROI. So it was like saying, you know what, why should you provide ACs in companies, in offices? In the summer, why should you have AC offices for employees? There is no ROI, right? But we know, if there are no ACs, if you don't provide ACs, what it will cost to employee morale, right? Physically, what happens to the employees, correct? So all I'm saying is, feature, advantage, benefit, these are 3 distinct things. In some cases, it can even overlap. The advantage and benefit can be one. It is not for you to tell the customer, you know what, hey, come, this is the feature, this is the advantage, the benefit. You might want to say, you know what, we deliver this benefit through this feature. Is what I want to suggest to you. This is to render your clarity in your mind, so that you can align your sales pitch. Your marketing teams can align your marketing communication focused on at the benefits. It's all about contextualization and relevance. I'm sure every other company would be doing that only. It's just that I can tell you one thing: if it's not contextualized and relevance, you are out anyway, right? But if it's contextualized and relevance, you at least stand a chance for your communication to be heard, for your communication to be seen, for your communication to be engaged with, for your communication to be opened. So in whatever form, whether it's content marketing or a direct emailer, subject line, contextualize, relevant, and look at nurturing. Don't get hassled if a response doesn't come immediately in your first attempt itself. Nurture it. It's a nurturing process. So be patient, recognize that. Create a communication queue. Work with your marketing teams to create a communication queue, a calendar, okay, saying in small capsule sized. I don't know if you've heard, I'm sure your marketing folks would know of drip marketing, right? Sequentially, what do I do first? What do I create first? Second, third, when somebody clicks on this first, what do I serve him or her the next time? Based on what he has clicked on, what he has seen, he or she has seen, what do I send again? Should I send just collaterals about industry trends? Should I send collaterals about my specific case studies, specific success stories, specific white papers? Now, should I send third time specific fabbing document, and then specifically about a product? And then do I invite them for a webinar? So it's a sequence that would probably span about a week or a fortnight. All I want to suggest in closing is talk more about them and less about your organization. It should, whatever you create, the content or email, the nurturing campaign should be more about what's in it for them, how can they benefit, what value will they derive. Okay, I think this is something that I want to share as a very generic thing to have in mind, bear in mind always. Especially this is true for any sales, but especially in large enterprises. Again, goes back to my trusted advisor, be authentic and all. Be genuinely concerned for your prospect organization, right? For your customer. When I say genuinely concerned, do what is right for them, okay? Or propose what is right for them. If you're not finding the contact person's details on the internet, doesn't necessarily indicate that the buyer is not right, is not the right profile. Okay, but my sense is you should see, often the big boys, if you will, right, or the big girls, if you will, which is the leadership, whether it's a lady or a gent, CXO or functional leadership. You might not find their contact information on any of these crawling, snooping sites, whether Lucia, Beat Lucia, or any of these, right? You may not find any contact, let alone phone number. You may not even find email or nothing. But that doesn't necessarily suggest that that company prospect. For example, you will not find Larry Ellison, the CEO of Oracle, the ex-chairman, his details. But that doesn't make Oracle not an enterprise customer. It is a Fortune 500 company anyway, correct? So don't go by my sense. Then look at other ways of how you can engage. Can you engage with Larry -1? Or even for Larry Ellison, okay? Can you use your second degree connect, first degree connect, your board, your leadership connects, or your leadership's first degree, second degree connects? Work with your board members, work with, see, as sales guys, let me use this term. I love this term. We should be hopelessly shameless. So we should ask for the order, ask for 5 crore, ask for 5 crore payment now, or 2 crores now, 3 crore, because we are offering something of value. We should have that conviction. Similarly, ask our own bosses, ask our CXOs, saying, hey, you know what, I want to connect with this Larry Ellison guy. How can you help me? Can you talk to your friends? Can you talk to your first degree connect, second degree connect, some network? Okay, how do I get to him or her? If not him, okay, can I get to he -1, -2? So on the company side, yes, if you think that the company's digital presence is one of the key parameters for you to qualify. And this is one thing that I would also recommend, especially in large enterprise sales, is to broad base your relationships. Don't just get stuck with just one person and talk to one function. Like I said, facilitators, decision makers, influencers. These may be 3 people, this may be 2 people, and also extend it to other functions, all the key, and don't just leave it only with you. While you may have relationships or you may engage with 2 or 3, get your other team members, like your marketing product team, okay, marketing team, your CEO, get your CEO also talking to their senior level. Build relationships deep and wide within your organizations and your prospective organizations.